Arran, this week is the EFL celebration of youth development, but at Exeter City it's a 365-day-a-year process, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that makes this club unique is its kind of dedication to young players and young player development. So certainly the reason that I love working here, and I know that the guys at the academy really kind of value and love being part of the club, is because I think two things that really stand out here are obviously fan zone, community club, and having that really family feel. And then probably the other thing that makes us different from most clubs is the opportunities it gives young players. So yeah, it's a huge part of the club. It's a huge part of what makes the job so enjoyable. And I think you can't really argue that there's a huge reasons why there's been so much success at the club over the last few years. So yeah, it's great that the club believes in it so much. And yeah, we benefit from that greatly.
Looking at recent successes as well, you can't look past Sonny Cox. Can you start the season playing probably more than he would have expected? Went out on loan to Yeovil and then was recalled and has come back a different beast, really, hasn't he? Scored a lot of goals, put in some great performances, and just seems to be loving his football.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, sometimes people forget how young Sonny is still, because he had a bit of involvement in around the first team really, really young. So the fact he's still 19, he's an under 19 player. And we're so pleased with how he's been doing recently. Even this time last year, he started to get a few games in the first team, and at League One, that's a tough ask at kind of 18 years of age. And I think, whilst I actually think he had some really good performances early in the season. I remember him, for instance, coming off the bench in the Crawley League Cup game, and I think he got an assist and did really well and looked really sharp. But equally, as a young player in League One, in a very competitive league, sometimes it just needs a little bit of the pressure taken off. And the opportunity at Yeovil was a great opportunity for him. I think he played a lot of minutes, had a lot of success in a team that was doing really well in the league, and probably an even more physical level than League One. So getting that experience of having to deal with some very physical players and being able to handle yourself and protect the ball, and I think since he's come back, it's been fantastic to see not only his goals, and he's always been a really good finisher, and not only his work ethic, but I think probably the biggest improvement I've seen from Sonny is his ability to really secure the ball when it comes into him against some really good defenders, some really physical defenders, and link play really well. And I think that's been a massive addition to his game. And then on top of that, obviously, 3 winning goals, I think, in when he first came back, and then obviously the 2 outstanding finishes against Bolton last week, which was great. And
stat you provided us with this week with us that he's one of only 3 under-19 players to have scored 5 or more league goals in the whole EFL this season. I mean, that's a remarkable stat. Yeah,
again, like I said, I think we forget that he is still really, really, really young. It's not normal for, or not common for kind of under 19 players to be playing regularly in a first team, and certainly not to be scoring and contributing to goals to the team. So I think Joe Bellingham is one that's obviously a very high profile name, and the lad at Charlton as well. So he's doing great, but equally there's a lot more that he can still do. And I know the type of character that he is, and the kind of work ethic that he has, the support he has from a fantastic family behind him, and also the club that are really trying to develop him as much as possible. That he we very much hope that he continues to progress, and let's see where it takes him.
Speaking about how beneficial Yeovil Town loan has been to him, it's the same for a lot of players who are currently out on loan as well.
Yeah, so I think the loan programme, again, is something that's been a massive benefit to the academy and the football club over the last few years. So we've had players such as Jordan Story, Harry Kite, Archie Collins that have been at kind of Dorchesters and Tauntons. Obviously, Ollie Watkins and Tom Nichols went to Weston, and kind of look at where Ollie is now. And this season, majority of the young pros, other than those that have unfortunately had quite a few injuries, a couple of the lads have had disrupted seasons with some serious injuries. Other than that, the boys have generally had loans. Whether that's under 18s or under 19 players, some really good experience to, again, understand men's football, understand the importance of winning games, because it is different. At the academy, we want the boys to be winners. We want them to win everything that they do, whether that's training, games, etc. But the games are actually technically friendlies up until under 18s, and I think when they go and play in these men's games, men's fixtures on loan, and you're playing for 3 points and there's a bit of pressure and there's crowds there, it's just a different feel, and it's something that's important in terms of how they transfer from developing young academy players into potential first team players. And I think there's a few boys at the moment that hopefully will be pushing towards first team football in the not too distant future, that have had some really good loans this year. So yeah,
it feels like we've developed some really strong links with some local clubs as well in the area.
Definitely. So again, we're in actually a good position where, in Southern Premier teams like Tiverton and Dorchester, we've got a really good link with Tavistock at the minute, where some players are going there. And then this season, obviously, I think even for the last two, the Conference South, the National League South, has got the likes of Torquay, Truro, Yeovil, Taunton, Western. So there's a number of clubs that are playing at a good competitive level, and it's really important that we continue to have those relationships with those clubs, and they trust the players that we're sending to them. They give them opportunities that hopefully helps them as clubs, but also helps us to get players that experience that's really vital for their development.
Another player who's benefited from that first team exposure this year is Jake Richards as well. Yeah. 16 years old, I guess it can't have been easy to kind of integrate yourself into that environment, but I guess it helped that he was involved in the pre-season trip to Mousehole, and definitely it kind of stemmed from there.
Absolutely. So I think those pre-season opportunities, they tend to come up each year, especially when the squad's being built, and there may be a few gaps, and it's down to the young players, the under-18s, if they get an opportunity to take it. And with Jake, obviously he's had that opportunity at Mousehole and done really well, really impressed the coaching staff within the first team, and kind of really gone from there. So it's a really good story for this year's 18s, next year's under-18s, to say, if there's opportunities, take it, because if you do well, it will be recognised. And again, like I said at the start, I think whilst it's not been as frequent a number of players in the first team this year, because of the likes of Archie, Jack Sparks, Joel Randall, Alfie Pond, Josh Key, these players they've all moved on to either higher Championship or Premier League clubs, or even clubs in League One that are doing really well this season. It's meant there's not been as many players playing week in, week out, but equally there's not many clubs that have had a 16-year-old start in League One, which Jake's done, and played 4 or 5 other games. So he's a very good young player. I think it's one of those things where sometimes when you get an opportunity really early, it's that difficult thing then to say, okay, well, there's not going to be games week in, week out. So as a football club, we need to ensure that his training programme and all the young players' training programmes are giving them everything they need. They're still getting game time at a good level, and so that's where we're trying to not only have under-18 league fixtures, but also try and play Cat 1 and 2 teams in friendlies, under 21 fixtures where we can, so that the young players that are doing well are getting opportunities to be stretched, and then as and when further first team opportunities come up, and I'm really hoping that will be the case for Jake and some of the other players, that they're really ready for that and they can take the opportunity. That's where Exeter's unique, really believing in those young players and giving them opportunities if they've shown they're capable of doing so.
I think what backs that up is that we've now made 472 first-team games in a row with at least one academy graduate in the starting lineup, and that just shows the power and success of the academy over the last couple of decades. Yeah,
absolutely, and I think for the last 3 or 4 years, maybe even 5 years, it's kind of not been in question. There's been so many young players that have almost developed into regular first team players, and so it's not been kind of a doubt there's going to be 3 or 4 in the team. This year's been a little bit closer, with like we talked about some of those players moving on, a couple of players being injured, and so it's been there's been a few games where I thought maybe that there may not be somebody in the team, but it's great to see that the first team staff are still giving those players opportunities, and Sonny stepping up, Czech still playing regularly, and even Alex, Harry have still had a really good contribution to the first team this year and played a number of games and made a big contribution to the first team's season. So, it's now kind of looking at who the next set of players are going to be and hoping that we can get players ready for that opportunity when it comes.
And this year, 7 graduates have made their first team debuts. Some of them obviously came in tough circumstances in the EFL Trophy, but again, those are experiences that they can just learn from.
Absolutely, and one of the things that we talk about as a club is not only do you need good players that have got the technical attributes and the physical attributes and the tactical awareness, but also the psychological side of things and resilience. So having to play in a game where you're losing heavily to Reading in that cup fixture, and also the Arsenal under-21s game was a difficult game. Difficult experiences. If that's your debut and you come on and it's a game where you end up losing 9-0, that's a tough experience. But We firmly believe that the players are going to be better for that, and it'll help build that resilience that's going to make them stronger and more robust physically, mentally, for careers in the game.
Looking outside the club as well, there's some incredible stories, likes of Ollie Watkins, what he's achieving at Villa, Ethan at Leeds, Matt Grimes and Josh Key at Swansea, Jay at Birmingham, John Storey at Preston and Ben Cruzene at Blackburn, just to name a few players who are really kicking on with their careers. I mean, that must be inspiring to everyone at the academy.
Yeah, I think so, and ultimately success. The academy's here to develop players for the first team and for the game, and the EFL Youth Development Week's all about celebrating the successes of players that have started in the EFL and gone on to do great things, and obviously the best example at this football club is Ollie, and I think the stat is that he's the most goal contributions in the Premier League of any player, more than Haaland and Salah this season, which is just unbelievable. Really, it's fantastic, and seeing him involved with the England squad and things, and so obviously that's the main purpose. But on top of that, it's also about making sure that the academy provides great experiences for every player that's been in the academy, and that they have a great journey with us. They develop, they learn, they become good people, and we help them with all aspects of their development. So the thing that really, really pleases me above and beyond just the football is players like Ollie, Ethan, Matt Grimes, fantastic people as well. You see the bits they're doing for the clubs, the charities, the foundations. It's brilliant. And also captains as well. Matt Grimes has been captain of Swansea for a number of years. Ethan's captain Leeds on a number of occasions this season. Archie obviously had an opportunity to captain this football club. So that side of the development of these young players is probably as important, if not more important, in terms of that they come into the academy, they learn the right way to do things, the right way to act, the right way to behave, and then hopefully that makes them the best players they can be on the pitch and the best person they can be off the pitch. So,
as staff, what does it mean to you to see Jake Richards make his Football League debut at 16, or Sonny Cox scoring a stunner in front of the Big Bank, or Ollie being the top goal contributor in the Premier League? I mean, what does it mean to you guys?
It's everything. That's why we do it. That's why we do the job. It's that is by far the best thing, and you end up kind of following obscure teams on Twitter just because you want to see how the lads that have moved there are getting on. And every time that you see someone play a game, score a goal, make an assist, that's what you do it for. It puts a massive smile on your face, and very rewarding for everyone that's had a part to play in their development. And ultimately the players and their families are the ones that have done all the hard work, but to have had a small contribution, which a lot of people at this football club have, past and present, is brilliant. That's kind of the best part about it.
And to end as well, I mean, last week it was announced that we'd linked up with First Point USA. Could you just tell us a bit about that? Because obviously there are some players that aren't going to maybe make it here, so it's about us having, I guess, giving them the best opportunity to make it in the game and learn and have more experiences. Yeah,
definitely. So I think a fantastic thing about the Premier League and the EFL and what they're trying to do is constantly drive standards across the game, and an area of the game that probably traditionally in the past may have been not as well focused on as the football is kind of the player care aspect, and it's something that's really been driven over the last few years. So we've got a player care team at the academy. Dan and Josh do a great job, and that's to support players that are in the academy, players that are just joining the academy, and also those that are leaving the academy, and trying to give them support in where they go next. So like I said, the programme itself hopefully gives children a brilliant experience and kind of get to do things that they wouldn't ever get to do if they weren't at the academy, and some of the experiences and tours and fixtures, life skills programme. But then on top of that, as and when they maybe don't quite make it to professional level, because it is extremely hard and it's such a small few that do get to that level, it's okay, well, they're still very good young players. So where can we help them to get in terms of supporting their development moving forward? And something that a few of our lads have done now is going to the USA or Canada on football scholarships. So it does rely on not only their football being at a good level, but also their academics. So they've got to get good grades in. If it's their under 18s, getting the best BTEC levels they can, etc. Or at school, obviously getting high GCSE results. But linking with First Point means that we've got a fantastic company there that's renowned for providing great opportunities and ensuring that our young players are going to be at the front of the queue at kind of trying to access some of these great opportunities in America. So, those lads that unfortunately don't quite make it onto the first team in professional contracts, it's a fantastic avenue for them to look at. really good education over there, a good football programme, although it's slightly different. I've spoken to a couple of lads that have been there this year, and they talked to me about roll-off subs and how some coaches bring them on as set-piece specialists. It is, whilst it's football, it's different. They've loved their experiences, and Dan himself had a number of years over in Canada doing that, and has come back and is now, alongside his player care job for us, plays at Bath City. So a really good level. So a great level for players to develop their football and get a really good academic backing as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Lovely.